All right, welcome back to another episode of Crazy Stupid Podcast. We just finished episode 3 of The Last of Us.
Major spoilers ahead. We're going to spoil the entire episode.
I am an emotional wreck. I am an emotional wreck.
When you told me that people said that this was like the best episode of television that they've ever seen, I was expecting like a big fight scene. Like I would. This wasn't what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Enjoy is maybe not the word, but it was very good. I thought it was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But I was not prepared for this type of emotional roller coaster. I was expecting like adrenaline. That's what I was expecting.
Oh.
I wasn't expecting to be this emotionally impacted.
Yeah, that's not really Neil Druckmann's style. It really is, how can I get my point across about a theme? The emotional gut punch, it always hits very hard with his video games. And so this was another episode where I was very interested to see how they were going to handle Bill's story. Bill kind of became like a fan favorite, even though you only get to play with him for a very brief amount of time. In video game time, maybe an hour.
And that's including you playing and like messing up and stuff. Like his storyline is like short.
Yeah. So here's where they made a bit of a pivot. And I'm trying to process my emotions because that was a very, very great episode. In the game, it is very much implied that Bill, he comes across very much the same way. And it kind of seems as though he owes Joel some favors. Joel pretty much goes on to say as much as like, you owe me one. So like, you're going to help us get these resources, help me fix up a car so that we can get Ellie to my brother. And so you go on this journey, this quest, you know, they fight some clickers, there's some scary moments. And I can see why they chose to take that out from a narrative perspective, because that isn't the point of the episode. Right. That's what I'm starting to notice. Each episode of The Last of Us, there is a point about love that they're trying to get across.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what the director said in the thing at the end.
Oh, yeah. Well, like, see, that makes sense. And so with this one, this is where I very much appreciate them expanding Bill. We don't get that much of a backstory with him, Joel, and Tess. We don't even get that much backstory about him as a person.
They said Frank is implied in the game. Like, it's implied that he has a partner.
Yes.
That's
so
dead.
You see a figure, a body that self. And it's very much implied that Frank got bit. I'm almost certain there's a point in the game where, like, if you're playing as Joel or Ellie, you can sort of like fiddle around with Bill's things. You can press triangle to like pick up letters and stuff. I'm almost certain there's something that was written from Frank, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
But that relationship is a lot less intimate in the video game, and Bill almost becomes hardened by the reality that his partner loses his life. And the message that he gets across to Joel in the video game is caring for people is what gets you killed. Versus in the show, Bill's like we're so protectors.
Much. I love what they did. This is so much.
We're protectors, and you have to protect what matters to you. Yeah, I thought that was such a great change, because it's the only reason why we know that Bill is gay is because Ellie picked up a magazine and it was like pretty much like a gay porno or gay Playboy.
Yeah, this is so. Listen, the creators of this game have clearly grown over the years. This is what I was thinking. Everything happens in 2003, right? So all of the political developments that happened after 2003 in our world, they didn't happen in this show. So if you think about it, like Bush is president, like gay marriage is not legal, like. Essentially, this love story that they got to live and play out in the show was not possible for them in that way. I mean, gay people were living together and like living fulfilled lives in 2003. But like, clearly he seemed like he was probably closeted. He said he'd never been with a man before. He has a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. So
he said he tried it with a girl even. So he's probably suppressing his emotions.
He's, you know, he's clearly like a Republican. He has that "don't tread on me" thing, you know, a doomsday prepper, right? Like, you can kind of fill in the gaps of like what it would be like for to live as him and also have this other identity of being a gay man. I'm sure he's not like at pride rallies and stuff. Like, that's not the existence that he's living.
Probably not.
So like, I was just thinking of like how for them, it's almost like in this reality where all of this stuff happened and everything fell apart, it's like for them, they got like a second chance at life, and like a life that they would not have probably gotten, or would not have, maybe that Bill probably would not have allowed himself to have.
Yeah.
Because that's just not where we were as a country, and that's not where he was as a person. And the fact that they got to live this life and die a death in this world that was not really tainted by the reality, like the violence of the world that they were living in, is very impactful. And I'm very glad that they chose to make that change, because I was very scared when I knew Frank was going to die. As soon as I started introducing him, you learn more about him, I was like, this is the type of character that you kill, okay? He brings joy into everybody's life. He's optimistic. He sees the good things in everything. In this world, those are the people that die. I was like, this is a sacrificial lamb. They're giving him to me to love so that he will die. I didn't know Bill was going to die. I thought Frank was going to die, but I was scared. I was like, Frank is going to go down bad. I was like, there's going to be walkers. There's going to be walkers. They don't call them that here. Infected. Or there's going to be raiders. Like, it's going to be bad. And like, it's going to be violent and sad. And like you were saying, it's going to like harden this character Bill. And that's like his arc. It was still very sad, but it's like bittersweet that like, they got to experience this love story and they get to go out on their own terms together. It's like a privilege that they got, you know, that like other people living in this world are not getting, and that possibly even they might not have been able to have like in other circumstances.
I want to drop a pin on that because that's going to be important later on in the show. And I'm almost certain they did that intentional to draw parallels with something we're going to see later on. I don't want to say too much on it, but I want us to remember this specific moment in our episode, because when something happens later on, all of these things are going to impact us a lot more.
This felt very much like foreshadowy. Like, first I was like, this isn't moving the plot forward very much. So, like, once I could see kind of where things were headed, I was like, it didn't serve a much purpose as like a plot point, right? Because it almost all of it takes place in the past. And by the time they're caught up, there's nothing that can be done. And like they could have got them the car anyway, you know, like they could have, you know, you give people a truck, like there's other ways that they could have, you know, done that.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of trying to think like what was actually the purpose of this, and it felt very much like they're foreshadowing the opportunity that Joel and Ellie are about to have, and that Joel is a person that's very much like, he's kind of given up. He's like, I'm just going through the motions here. I'm living just to live at this point. And in the same way that like Frank gave Bill a second chance at something that he had given up on, Ellie is about to give Joel a second chance at something that he had given up on. And I feel like that same, you know, that dynamic of like giving somebody a purpose, like what Bill said at the table when he was like, and you were my purpose, and that's why like he chose to die with Frank. Giving somebody a purpose is like that same, like that's what it felt like the purpose was for me. It's like we're giving you this glimpse of something that's coming, and like there's beautiful things in this dynamic, and amidst all the tragedy, amidst all the terrible things that are happening in this world, like people are finding beautiful things to live for, and we're giving you a glimpse of this so that it means more when you see how that starts to build up and how that develops between Joel and Ellie.
You know what, it just sort of reminded me of like each of these characters that they are running into or having some relationship with all play a significant role in helping the relationship of Joel and Ellie to develop, right? You start with Marlene, that's the introduction, and then you get Tess, and Tess is there to bring a new sense of possible hope to the world again in Joel's perspective, right?
Save who you can save.
Right. And he's doing it for Tess, but he's not fully like, I'm going to protect Ellie. Right?
Yeah.
Bill comes in, his story provides I think the initial spark of, I'm doing this to protect you now. Like there's something that is worth protecting again.
When Ellie read the letter from Bill and he has that line of like, that's what men like you and me are here for, to be protectors, I interpreted that as like an unlocking of something for Joel, like that had not been, because I feel like prior to this he was trying to prevent himself from being in a position where he had something to protect, because that means you have something to lose. And I felt like he was trying not to be in that position, because it felt like to me with him and Tess, she even said something in I think episode 2 when she knew she was going to die, but they didn't know yet. And she said something to him where she was like, it's okay that you don't feel the same way for me or something. Yeah. I feel like she was very much all in with him. I feel like he was purposely not, because he was trying to prevent himself from feeling an attachment or like he had something to lose. The purpose of us being here is to care for people, to protect them, because that's the way that we can show love. And I feel like to me that was like the beginning of Joel being like, okay, maybe it's actually important for me to start to open up a little bit more, because otherwise, like, what am I really doing here? Like, what's the point of me surviving? And then right after that, you start to see that he's, you know, a little bit more like open with Ellie. Like when they get in the car and he lets her play the music, it's like that's a connection moment, you know?
Even the music that is being played for us throughout that episode, it really shows that's really the theme here of like, this man, you've got to find love in this world. And I think it's a bit more applicable in this like zombie apocalypse, but it's still like relevant in like our reality as well. Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of dark moments, but you don't want to miss out on those opportunities where you can find like real, genuine joy. Bill didn't have to start playing that piano when he first meets Frank, and that sort of changes everything. Like the course of how his story arc was going to go if he had just like not invited him in and had him eat dinner, like completely different person. And he wouldn't have had a chance to live a very rare, happy life in this world. Like what they experienced, no one else is really getting a chance to do. You know what I mean? And he's got that whole town. He's built that whole infrastructure. The only thing that was missing was people. I think what really pulled me into the episode when he says, "Who's the girl?" And then he says it, and then Bill says it's not.
There's no girl, and then he says, "I know."
Right. They have this moment where Frank initiates the kiss to Bill, and that was a very passionate interaction, because it was almost like I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching this,
starved of this.
How long has it been?
Yeah.
Since they've not just a hug, not a kiss, just a touch
For Bill,
of affection.
At that point, it's been at least 4 years, but likely more, because he was already alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what I'm thinking about that type of person who falls into the trap of trying to rebel against the new world order and being like super anti-government, which we're not like pro-government, but to the point where you isolate yourself from society, you are missing out on what every human being needs. And I think that is that's the point of what Bill represents. Bill represents that person who has removed himself from society, and they don't realize that's not the way you get to live a fulfilled life.
He already was living in that mindset before he had to. Like, he was already living just to survive. When things go down, I need to be ready. And that was it. Like, he didn't trust anybody, didn't trust any systems, didn't trust anything. He was all about being prepared to survive when the worst comes to worst. And then it's like, when that finally does happen, I mean, he was well prepared. Because
he's like, you all were wrong and I was right. Imagine how euphoric that probably was for him, like in a weird, twisted way.
I gotta say, I was like, I don't like the idea that this show takes place in a world where the "don't tread on me" people are vindicated.
Honestly, they might be the most prepared people to handle an apocalypse.
I don't know how I feel about that one, but
because I ain't got that many guns.
like that mindset allowed him to survive, right? But
Yes.
then like Frank kind of shows up to be like, but survive for what?
For who?
Right? And now it's like the only thing that made all of that stuff that he did actually worthwhile was a change in that mindset and living
Yes.
for something more. Like even the little arguments that they had where Frank was like, we have to make things look nice. And like Bill's trying to be like, but what's the point? Like it's a waste of our resources. Like there's no point. And he's like, no, because it just matters. Like this is our space. Like it just matters that we find joy in things and that we create things that we love. Like even them, like him painting, that's a very different way of looking at survival in those circumstances. Of being like, yeah, it matters that we survive, but it also matters that we are happy and that we find joy in the things that we can find joy in.
Frank says something on the lines of Bill, like, the details is how we show our love. Mm-hmm. And that really stuck with me because, I mean, like, it's true. Think about something as simple as they're going on their run and then Frank surprises Bill with the strawberry garden. That little detail is going to have a very long-lasting impact for Bill on this individual truly cares about me because they went through all of that way. All of the details of the logistics, the hiding to get that, because that moment of surprise they felt was worth it for me. Like, that is such a significant point being made throughout that entire episode. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, my politics currently would not align with Bill's, but he's like, they are Nazis. And then Frank's like, well, they are now, but
they weren't then.
You know what I mean? It's like the political ramifications post-apocalyptic event. I thought that was also very refreshing to see because, yeah, they're living in a dictatorship and these people are trying to hold on to some level of control, some level of governmental control when, like, they don't have the answers, just like no one else does.
Yeah. And they made me care about those characters a lot in, like, a very short amount of time. The only time I can remember somebody managing to create that level of emotional impact in that short a time is Up. That little intro
in the yes, oh my gosh,
at the beginning. I was thinking about that. I was like, I can't think of another time where, like, somebody managed to, like, introduce a character and in the same project, like in less than an hour, take that character away and have you actually feel the emotional weight of that loss. I think it's Up.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of anything else that's done that. Usually they kind of let you get to know the character a lot more over time, become attached over time, so that there's that big payoff. But they were so confident in the chemistry between those two actors and how bought in we would be into their love story that they knew even if it's just 45 minutes of us experiencing their life together in just little snippets here and there, we're going to hurt when it's done.
If each episode is supposed to represent a lesson for Joel and Ellie, if it's supposed to represent a bonding experience for Joel and Ellie, I think the point of Bill's character, which sort of serves as a reminder in a pessimistic view of caring for people can get you killed, we've sort of seen that lesson in zombie movies and TV shows quite often. We never agree with it because us as human beings, we already know that is not a healthy way for a human being to live their life. Like, companionship is the purest form of joy that a human being can experience, right? This, I felt like, was a much more powerful lesson for not just Joel and Ellie, but for the characters and what they're supposed to represent. As the viewer, I'm watching this and I'm saying, it is good to have that reminder.
Yeah.
You know? Like, one of the ways that
things
love
do matter in this world. Like, things actually matter. Yeah.
Yes.
And it actually is a very important addition to a show like this, because otherwise you do fall into that trap that we talked about in our other episode, that like other zombie, like that the Walking Dead things, like if there's nothing to buy into and nothing matters over time, there's nowhere to take the story.
Right.
So this is a much better foundation to build off of that. We're not taking you in that direction. Obviously, the show is not going to be all sunflowers and daisies, but like we're not trying to enmesh you in this idea that in this world nothing matters, everything is going to die anyway. Like that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to show you that the relationships that you have with people matter even in the worst possible circumstances that you can imagine. Even when there's literally nothing else to lose, there's really like that. In fact, it makes them matter more because there is nothing else. There's literally nothing, like all the other things that we use to kind of gauge our success in life, in real life, are gone in this world. Like careers, education, and accomplishments, success, money, it literally is all gone. The only thing that matters is the relationships that you have with people. Ron Swanson. Okay, I just say something. It is very funny that they chose that actor. I'm just going to call him Ron Swanson to play Bill, because Ron Swanson
very similar. He's like libertarian.
He works with the whole joke about his character is that he works for the government and he doesn't trust it.
That's true.
He works for the government and he's anti-government, and he's like, oh God, and that is such a funny show.
When I saw the casting, I was like, that is the perfect person to play Bill.
He is bad at his job on purpose because he hates the government. I don't know how much of the show you've seen, but he purposely doesn't schedule any meetings.
Oh, I did see that, yeah.
There's an episode where Aubrey Plaza's character is like his assistant, and he schedules all of his meetings for March 31st because she thinks that the date does not exist.
Oh, and then the date shows up.
And then the date shows up, and he has all of these meetings that she has scheduled.
No way! I need to go back and watch this show because
so
apparently
funny.
it's really
But yes,
good.
I was like, as soon as when I saw, because I didn't know that much about Bill. I didn't know anything about Bill. I just knew everybody was saying Ron Swanson was the perfect cast for him. Yeah. But when I saw, he's in his basement, he has all the guns over here, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, I was like, this is why, because he is Ron Swanson.
Yeah. In the spirit of the theme of protection, I want to do a bit of like a trivia thing that I was thinking of that we could probably try to do.
Oh, okay.
So
this is brand new to me. He did not tell me about this.
This is a who would you rather as your protector.
A fictional character.
Yes, they are all characters in the world of Westeros.
Whoa, okay. Okay.
So I'm here as your encyclopedia if there are characters that you do not remember.
There will be characters I don't remember. As you know,
don't worry.
Our viewers may not know, but I can watch a show and then I can watch it again 3 years later like I've never seen it before.
To this day, I don't understand how that's possible.
It's beautiful.
And so you're one of the smartest people that I know.
It's a beautiful... It's like a beautiful curse. It's like, it kind of sucks because like I can't talk about shows really that well after a while.
Yeah.
But it's nice because I can always rewatch them.
Did you ever watch Sherlock?
Yeah, I watched all of it. Yeah.
This reminds me of that one random scene where like he doesn't remember some of the planets in the solar system.
I'm not going to remember this.
Okay, but I'm telling you. This is one of those moments where it's just like, how do you just not remember that? That's how I feel when I'm referencing something that I know we've watched. And I'm like, this is something like significant to the plot. How do you just not remember? I don't know.
It just doesn't get stored in my brain. I don't know what happens. Okay, all right, go ahead.
So here we go. Who would you rather as your zombie protector, Game of Thrones edition?
Okay.
Up first, Jaime Lannister or Oberyn Martell?
Oberyn Martell is Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
Okay. Jaime Lannister, 2 hands or 1 hand?
Jaime Lannister in his prime, 2 hands.
I'm like, am I being practical or am I being like, who do I want to spend time with?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
I honestly don't know. I feel like I don't know, like, like their stats. Like I don't really know like who is considered to be like the better swordsman. Like
it's tough because you could argue Oberyn is probably the most dangerous person in Westeros when he was alive. But the way people talk about Jaime Lannister in the books, you could argue maybe behind Arthur Dayne, Barristan Selmy, Jaime's the best swordsman to ever live. So if you give Jaime a sword, I'd probably go with him. And here's why. I think Oberyn might get a little too cocky.
I guess that is, in fact, what happened.
I mean, you know what I mean? Oberyn, he beat the mountain. Every time I watch that episode, I get so angry. Just like, bro, just stop.
God, that was painful. Yeah, I guess then Jaime. I was gonna say, frankly, I don't really want to spend all that time with Jaime.
No, he would just complain about Cersei the entire time.
I feel like and he was like really not nice.
Yeah, he was mean to
He
Brienne.
was really mean and just like he wasn't a good person until his hand got cut off. He was a bad person.
Yeah.
At least Oberyn Martell was like charming.
Yeah,
know?
he'd make you laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, up next, this is gonna be a tough one.
Okay.
Theon Greyjoy or Ramsay Bolton. Both in their prime, and Theon in a lot of ways.
I mean, frankly, I think Ramsay would kill me. Are we like, let's be for real?
Why would he kill you?
Because he's a bad person.
Yeah.
He's a bad person. Also, I'm a woman. I don't want to spend any time alone with that guy.
No.
I would much rather take my chance with Theon Greyjoy, and if we go out, we just go out together. Okay?
All right. So this is going to get a little bit harder as time goes on. Jon Snow or Mance Rayder?
This is all planned out on the computer. This is so funny. I had no idea. Okay, Jon Snow or who?
Mance Rayder, King Beyond the Wall.
The guy in charge.
Yeah.
I don't even remember his face. I just remember that he existed. I mean, listen, I'm gonna go with Jon Snow.
Oh okay. All right. Arya Stark or Grey Worm? That's a tough one.
I'm going Arya. I just feel Arya like
prime
Arya. She can change the face. She's all of that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going with Arya. Well, but like, how useful is that against zombies, though? Frankly,
I mean, like, you can't change your face to a zombie. Well, you could pull a Walking Dead and put the zombie like.
I think I'm actually switching to Grey Worm. I think he would hit. I think his specific skill set might be more useful in this scenario.
Arya is very stealth-like. Grey Worm, like battle-tested. You know.
I don't think you really need stealth as much when you're dealing with zombies.
Of course you do. You got to move around them clickers. You got to use your stealth.
That's true. I think I'm still going to go Grey Worm.
All right. Joffrey Baratheon or Aegon Targaryen?
I feel like you're screwed either way. Neither of them can help you, really.
Oh, no. I'm choosing Aegon. At least he knows how to fight to some degree. Remember, he was trained to fight when he was younger.
And he could fly a dragon.
Oh, we can't use dragons. That's such a cheat code. Joffrey got bested by Arya, and she had no skill training at all.
Okay, I guess I feel like they're both bad, but Aegon's probably less bad.
Yeah. Okay. Catelyn Stark or Alicent Hightower?
Listen, I love this.
No way.
I'm not saying I haven't. I'm saying I love both of them, but I don't really see how either of them. I mean, I guess I'm going Catelyn because
Oh hell yes, I'm going Catelyn.
I feel like she could do more, but I don't even know how much she could do. Like,
listen, she got that North in her. I'm trusting her.
That's
being
true.
From the North,
she has some survivalist instinct.
Yes.
That's true.
Hands down. All right. Okay, here's another one. Jon Snow or Aemond Targaryen? One-eyed Aemond.
I think I'm still going Jon Snow.
Huh?
I feel like he's probably still better, right?
Yeah. The Hound or Daemon?
If Daemon cares about me, I'm going with Daemon.
You better put a white wig on.
Those are the only instances in which Daemon would be a good protector. If he doesn't care about you, he's not going to be a good protector. But if he cares about you, he'll really go to bat for you.
Yeah.
So
All right. Tywin Lannister or Stannis Baratheon?
Which brother was Stannis? Was he the one with the child?
Stannis was the one with Melisandre.
He had the daughter. Mm-hmm. Or Tywin. Okay. Tywin has good... I know he has good battle smarts, but is he a good fighter?
Don't know. I would
I'd
argue...
probably go Stannis then.
Stannis is probably...
Because he at least fights, like, for real.
Stannis knows how to fight, and military-wise, like, tactics, I don't think there's anyone in that world that's smarter than Stannis.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Prime Robert Baratheon or Prime Jaime Lannister?
Okay, but... wait, okay.
They never fought.
I was gonna say, I forgot. That's not the king. That's not the king that he slayed. I think still Jaime Lannister, because at the time, like, they were both alive at the same time, and Jaime Lannister was still considered to be, like, the best swordsman. So that means even over Baratheon, he would be, like, more skilled.
It's tough, because you could argue Jaime had a better skill set, but Robert's brute strength, I mean, I don't know. One swing, and he's probably splitting that walker in half. All right, well, that's all I've got. Any final thoughts?
My only thought is that because they gave us such a beautiful episode this week, next week's episode is going to be dark. I just know it. It's going to be dark and it's going to be sad.
How do you feel about... This is very person-oriented. So we're not getting that many zombies, clickers. As someone who sort of consumes zombie entertainment, you know, we'll watch movies, we'll watch TV shows. How are you feeling about that?
I think it's a good choice because then you don't become desensitized to them and they're still scary when they show up.
Yeah. All right. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And thanks again for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
We're waving to that camera or this camera?
Oh, I guess